particles are tiny pieces of rocks. They are larger and more jagged the closer they are to the point of origin. Sedimentary rocks have particles in them. Basically, they're little pieces of the rock that are made up from either from just random rocks or the ground. They are larger and more jagged the closer they are to the point of origin. So if a rock is formed in one area and it's moved 100 miles, let's say, it'll be smaller and it'll be smoother than it would be at the origin or the place it was made. And another example is picking up particles. When sedimentary rocks move, they pick up particles as they move, so it can make the rock larger and more jagged. But it doesn't really make it more jagged, just larger. And that's when it picks up the particles, so it can make it larger. When the sedimentary rocks move, although they lose a lot of rock, they pick up new little bits indicating locations, like because there's different particles in a jungle than there is in the desert, so you can tell where it's been by the pieces of rock.
While a rock goes through an ocean, it may pick up shale. Shale is clay mixed with mud, so it is based in the ocean. When the rock picks up the shale, it becomes a breccia. A breccia is a rock that has fragments of rocks or minerals formed or mashed together. If the rock gets deposited into the soil, it could be water or land soil. Then it may be there for a period of time. It can pick up and merge with other rocks when it's down there. And when it gets dug up, it could be bigger.
So if it goes, basically when it gets deposited into the soil, pieces of rocks can form into it over time. And then when it's dug up, it may be bigger than when it was planted over the years. Then there's this sheet right here.
Which that could tell you a lot about like where it came from too, and maybe some types of patterns of erosion or something like that.
The worksheet we handed out it tells you the grain size, which is like the size of the one inorganic land dried sedimentary rocks. It tells you the texture, which is clastic, and
it basically helps you identify sedimentary rocks and what they are, what they look like.
And the grain size, as you see, is like pebbles or cobbles. And the composition, it says that it's moisty, and it says the rock name, how they are mostly there, or the inorganic sedimentary rocks are there. And then there's the chemically and or organically formed sedimentary rocks, which the texture is crystalline. The grain size is fine to coarse crystals, and the rock name are rock salt, rock chiasm.
Inorganic land sedimentary rocks are formed pretty much on land. Inland, they formed in the soil. Chemically formed ones are formed over time just by picking up pieces of rocks and combining them into one. So once it's basically combined, it is chemically formed. We have a website right here. It tells about what layer is the sedimentary rock layer, which is the main. It is the top layer, it's the brown one. When when the rivers run down, they can take tiny bits of rock and it can roll down the stream, and it can end up
in the sand, in the water, or any kind of soil in the water.
Yeah, and then when it sinks down, it
collects up and it gets higher.
It collects up, gets higher, and then it forms into the sedimentary rock layer, which when dug up has all kinds of rocks. It'll have rocks.
Fossils too,
yeah. And basically it's just formed rocks down onto a layer. And that's the end of our presentation.
Can you guys give us an example of a sedimentary rock?
A sedimentary rock, there is a sedimentary rock that is shale. That's one of the main ones. Clay mixed with mud, because
it's a grayish. Sometimes they have sand mixed together. It's grayish, and it's like really thick, hard like clay, and it's hard to pull. It's like rubber. I felt it's like really hard to pull. It's like hard, rubbery clay.
would all shale have the same composition? And what I mean by that, would it all have like the same amount of clay in it?
Not exactly.
No.
Some may be different just because it picks up. It depends on what it
Depends
picks
how
up.
much it gets layered.
So if it's layered up a bunch, it may have more than if it's just recently been layered.
Another common sedimentary rock in our area, sandstone.
Sandstone, yeah. Sandstone is basically sand that's then on top of stone, and it mixes with the stone.
And then it just becomes like a really hard, like it just forms into a stone or rock, and then it makes it really hard. It's just sand that's really hard.
Any other questions?
Alright, and so if you need any questions, we can answer them. But no questions? Alright. And that is the end of our presentation.